All right, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin. This was interesting on Kevin O'Leary's YouTube channel the other day. That's right, I guess every major TV personality in 2020 has their own YouTube channel. I like it, I get it, very intimate. But on his channel, friend, Shark Tank co-host Mark Cuban came by to answer a few questions. And he dropped a bombshell on his true feelings on the value of cryptocurrency and blockchain in this next decade. Listen to this clip. The first half, Mark Cuban explaining the value of a blockchain, what gives it value, especially in an enterprise solution. And two, listen to his example on if a company like Enron, for example, had a blockchain or a cryptocurrency implementation, how that really would have changed things. Listen to this.
Let's talk about blockchain. To me, that is actually a non-proprietary utility.
Right.
Why would that in any way be a storage of value, blockchain? Anybody can use
Blockchain's not.
it.
Blockchain effectively is software.
Okay,
it's
so
a
why-
distributed database that's managed independently, and that inherent combination makes it a utility, makes it software effectively that has value and utility.
So when somebody's running around trying to raise a blockchain fund, that's just a software for hire fund.
In some respects, but there's a specific, there are very unique use cases for blockchain. So for instance, when people say there's no value no intrinsic value to crypto, they don't really look at the value of blockchain. Now, when you take blockchains from different types of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus others, there's significant differences, but blockchain in general does have at least a basic intrinsic value. Not as high as what the cryptos trade for, but there is basic intrinsic value. And I'll give you an example. If, for instance, there was a blockchain-driven general ledger system that had auditing capabilities.
Yeah.
So, for instance, for a big company, you wanted to have a truly independent auditor so you would set up a general ledger system using blockchains where an external third party would be able to look at different segments of the general ledger. There wouldn't just be one auditor. You can have
It
three.
makes the process more efficient, so it adds value there.
Well, but it makes it not just more efficient, but it makes it truly independent.
But there's no equity that I can buy in blockchain.
Well, but let me finish. Imagine if this was a system used for Enron.
Yeah.
So that instead of having Arthur Anderson doing their auditing and their accounting, and we know what happened from there, the auditors and the accountants there were three different auditors and accountants that just using blockchain were able to look at a specific segment of their general ledger and
So they would have caught the fraud way earlier.
They would have caught the fraud because you couldn't fake out all three of them.
So it has utility there. I get that. Thank you, Nish. Very interesting.
Okay, really interesting conversation. Now, let's be honest here. This channel was one of the first to expose Kevin O'Leary for the liar that he has been about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in revealing footage from 2013. If you haven't checked out this video, highly recommend you check this out. But either way, I want to support this. I want to like this. The link to the original conversation down below in the description. Hey, tell them Altcoin Daily sent you. But let's break down exactly what Mark Cuban said, because in his own words in that video, enterprises, businesses that have a blockchain, that potentially have a crypto, certain businesses could truly add value, providing the transparency to third party, whether they're auditors or people like you and me, adding transparency on the blockchain to prevent scandals like this. Now, that sentiment, which more and more businesses are slowly starting to figure out, is incredibly bullish for the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. But it brings up a good point. Now, the problem is, digging deeper, how decentralized is decentralized enough using blockchains and crypto in enterprise solutions? For example, for the use case of money, which Bitcoin solved the transparency, the censorship resistance, the decentralization, solved the use case of money on a blockchain. In my opinion, if you're talking about money, it should be the most decentralized as possible, the most censorship resistant as possible for money. Now, 10,000 plus nodes, which validate every transaction, to me, makes Bitcoin so much more valuable than corporatized Bitcoin-like substances, which have 20-some, a handful of hand-chosen corporate validators who are in charge of the transactions. Now, I only bring this up because as a smart investor, and I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just an average guy, as businesses start to adopt cryptocurrencies to benefit their consumer, you're going to have to ask, do I want more centralized? Or do I want more decentralized? Or do I want maybe a faster blockchain? Because blockchains in general are clunkier. They're slower. Unless you centralize them, then they can get a lot faster. And the only reason I bring this up, to me, the use case of money should be the most decentralized. But when we're talking about DApp platforms, gaming platforms like EOS, who only has 21 block producers, for example, I don't know, maybe it's not as important to you to have your gaming platform be as decentralized as your money. I mean, the market is slowly figuring all this out. So when Mark Cuban uses the example of Enron as a scandal that could have been prevented if it had a blockchain, as a smart investor and just as a smart human, you're going to have to ask yourself, is it permissioned? Is it public? Is it open sourced? How many validators are on the network? Is this truly decentralized? Who's really controlling the blockchain? Because if Enron just puts a blockchain that they control all the validators, then it's nothing new. It's a buzzword. It's blockchain as a buzzword instead of blockchain as an actual utility. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Hit the like button if you appreciate this perspective, if you appreciate this channel, always bringing you the news. Speaking of that, first piece of news. This is pretty big. A French court has just made the ruling that equates Bitcoin as a legal form of money. And again, this is not going to move the price today, but this is a huge baby step for the long-term future. And a legal court saying that Bitcoin has value. The narrative that Bitcoin does not have value broke down once again, this time as asserted by a French court. A decision by the Commercial Court of Nanterre from February 26th had to assign a nature to BTC in digital assets. So they're forced to state, what is Bitcoin? Does it have value? Can you use it as a means of payment? According to the court, Bitcoin is fungible and interchangeable, which is the exact characteristics of money. And according to the court, you can now use Bitcoin as a form of money, as a legal form of transaction. Here is a direct quote from the lawyer that was specializing in the case. The scope of this decision is considerable because it allows Bitcoin to be treated like money or other financial instruments. It will, therefore, facilitate Bitcoin transactions such as lending or repo transactions. So Bitcoin legally can now be used for lending or repo transactions in France. Hey, just like money. Which those kind of things are growing and thus favor the liquidity of the cryptocurrency market. So this adds to Bitcoin's liquidity for sure. It's huge, much more use case in the French sector. So this is big. Do not take headlines for this for granted. This is something people wished they saw 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We're seeing this now. It's a small step. Keep in mind, however, a court decision, which yes, that did happen, is not the same as a law to define the nature of Bitcoin. So it sets a nice precedent, but technically in the state of France, in the country of France, BTC it's not illegal, but they do generally follow the vision of the European Central Bank, which says digital assets are not money. Now this court made the decision that Bitcoin can be used as money in lending, in repo transactions. So it's a nice little precedent for the European Central Bank to look at. Maybe go, trends seem to be changing. Next piece of news. If you like Cardano, you're going to like this. The legal leader of PwC, one of the big four auditing firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers, says Cardano is a huge part of the decentralized future. This is a direct tweet from the legal leader of PwC. In a March 3rd tweet, Dubroz, which is that guy, claimed that he has long been saying that decentralization is the future. Furthermore, he added that the Cardano Foundation and the team surrounding IOHK CEO and founder Charles Hoskinson are a huge part of this future, this decentralized future. Now, this left many people to speculate, whoa, maybe Cardano could be in the future for PwC if their leadership team not only knows about it, but is tweeting their praises. But that would be incorrect on the surface, because Dubois was quick to call these his own views rather than PwC's. So, always nice to get a shout out from a peer in the space, if that's what you would call PwC in comparison to Cardano. Pretty interesting. I will let you go. Let me know what you're doing this weekend. Like always, see you tomorrow.